I got asked recently to do some corporate consultancy, which was amazing. I got to sit down with 50 senior managers in an organization, and I did a talk, and then we did a lot of Q&As. Anyway, one of the managers put up their hand and said, "What do you do with a rogue employee? What do you do?" They said, "Look, I'm working with somebody that I really don't like. They're high performing, but we're not getting on. And how could we perhaps better get on?" And this is something really interesting for me. I remember watching a Gary Vee video. Yes, Gary Vee is an inspiration. If you don't follow him, you should follow him. Some people find him a bit OTT, but I think he's amazing in terms of just the absolute depth of knowledge that he shares. Anyway, he talked about having to fire his best employee. And the reason why he fired his best employee was because his best employee was pissing everybody else off around him. And he talked about the benefits of doing that. That yes, this best employee was doing so much; they were literally working all over the organization. But when he let them go, that person went and it gave an opportunity for everybody else to shine. And not only that, but it took the aggressor out of the organization, as in it took the person that those others weren't getting on too well with, and it had an amazing effect. He talked about on his business where, this champion employee went, but suddenly, 2, 3, 4 months down the line, he had 10 champion employees, probably each individually not on the same level as that one person that he let go, but not too far behind. And so actually the general average of the organization came up. Anyway, going back to this question, how do you deal with a rogue employee? The fact of the matter is that when you get to a certain age, you are the way you are, and others are the way they are. And I do believe that kind of trick, that it's very hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And so the world is a big place. And so if you break up in a relationship, they'll say, well, there's plenty more fish in the sea. And in an organization, I think sometimes people are probably a little bit too static. They're really trying to force people to get on. And what can we do to get these people to get on? And what can we do to get people to mix? Well, in actual fact, things don't have to be that difficult. There's a really good quote in a movie. I remember somebody was laughing about another person in a relationship, and I think he turned around to them and said, well, dude, if you have to work so hard, maybe it shouldn't work at all. And I think that's actually really true in a number of layers when it comes to business. Like, if your business is so bloody hard to make work, perhaps it shouldn't be working in the first place. But if a relationship in work is so hard to make work, perhaps that relationship shouldn't be there. Perhaps one of the people shouldn't be in the organization. So I'd actually encourage, sometimes in organizations, people can try to force relationships too much. And instead of trying to force those relationships, perhaps don't be too anxious to say, actually, should this relationship even be there in the first place? And I think that example from Gary Vee's perspective is really, really interesting for me, that his top employee was pissing everybody else off, but also suppressing everybody, not giving everybody else an opportunity to shine. And yes, that person was super talented, but when they went, they gave the opportunity for everybody else to show off. And actually, it brought a much greater level of depth to his organization. So if you're dealing with a rogue employee, don't be afraid to say goodbye. Life is too short, and we work way too much. And there's no point in working with people that you just don't get on with. Think of the impact that's actually having in so many other areas of your life, just being beside somebody and working beside somebody that you don't get on with. There's plenty more fish in the sea. And yes, somebody else might not be as capable as that person that you don't get on with, but I guarantee in getting on with that person, the benefits of that will outweigh the benefits of that prior person being so good. So don't be afraid to look at things a little bit differently, or multidimensional. So anyway, how to get on with the rogue employee? I would actually say life is too short, and don't be afraid to actually just say your goodbyes, move on, and find somebody that you do get on with, because we all work so bloody much that there's no point in working with people or trying to force relationships. Instead, just enjoy your working relationships, because that in itself will have a huge benefit that I would recommend and endorse and say is will really, really surprise you in the benefits of that. Being in an environment that you enjoy being in, with people that you enjoy being with, that'll bring out your best self, and your best self, hell, that's what you should be pursuing above all else.